Trump is one of the few presidents in the history of America who has been subjected to several attempts to impeach him. Perhaps he is the only president who is now subjected to a third attempt to remove him from office. The first time I was exposed to this issue was in late 2009, early 2020, in his first term, and he was impeached on 2 charges. The first was that he abused power, and she abused power in his case. It was because he was putting pressure on Ukraine to reveal some legal violations between it and Biden's son, who was my competitor in the presidential elections, on the basis that revealing these violations could weaken Biden's shares in the elections. Does Congress consider this a violation? On the American elections, especially from a foreign country, which is Ukraine, they considered this abuse of power, which is the date of the first charge, and the second charge was contempt of Congress, which is disrupting or obstructing the work of Congress, and this is what they call contempt of Congress, and therefore this was the second charge and a promise from it. This topic, how will we say except for this charge, Tani came back again accused of something new. The attempt to isolate him was made at the end of the term. Exactly, the last 2 months of his rule were at the end of 2020. He was defeated in the elections to Biden in November 2020, and he urged his supporters in a speech and in some practices to storm the Capitol or storm the Congress building and printed it was also a precedent in history, American, and 4 people died in this storming, and it was a major disaster for Americans. He rejected the results of the democratic elections. The elections were rigged, etc. So they also made a case to remove him, but they did not remove him either. They failed to remove him in this attempt, and he ended his term. And after that attempt, the third was these days. Why did the first and second attempts fail? Because in order to be removed from office, the first must submit his paper. This is for Congress, which is the House of Representatives. A Congress in the United States has 2 divisions, the House of Representatives division. When they were submitted to the House of Representatives, it was necessary to approve his impeachment, which remained acceptable. 2/3 of the House approves, 2/3 of the House of Representatives approves, and if more than 2/3 approves, then it is submitted to the Senate. The Senate must agree, but with a simple majority, meaning more than 50%, and that's it. 2/3 is not necessary, meaning as it is in the first stage with the House of Representatives, meaning the House of Representatives cannot impeach him. The Republicans, for the Democrats in the House of Representatives, are approximately equal in a very slight advantage for the Republicans. At that time, it was not useful if they fell, because a number of Republicans themselves would have to vote against him if he voted to impeach him. I mean, of course, there is not a single one of the Republicans. Perhaps only one of the Republicans voted against him, and the rest of the Republicans all voted the opposite of impeachment. Therefore, you are not impeached and do not address the issue originally on the Senate. The second time is the same story as well. In reality, impeachment was prevented, which happened to him in the first 2 times. It was not because the case was not sound, nor because there was strong evidence. I mean, they cheated. No, it was just because of the people who are in the House of Representatives and the Senate. I mean, Republicans, a lot, and therefore it did not happen that he was impeached. It was a sign of the cohesion of the Republican Party, not the strength of the evidence. Trump exonerates these problems. Now, less than 2 weeks into his term, January 20th was established exactly 10 days later in an organization called Freedom of the Means of the Expression for People. This organization made a petition and signed a request for signature, meaning members of the people from an audience of the public. On this petition, they signed in a few days, so 100,000 citizens, 100,000 copies. Mostly it means $100,000. They are all Democrats. The Democratic Party means some of them may be Republicans, but most of them are from the Democratic Party. This petition demands that Trump be impeached and thus sign this petition. The petition may be justified. It is presented to the House of Representatives, and after that, if 2-3 of them agree to impeach him, it will be presented to the Senate, and if more than 50% in the Senate approves, that's it, impeach him. You see, okay, the President of America. Why is this petition? For her reasons. You say that he first violated the revenue clauses that prohibit the president from benefiting from his position for private interests, whether the revenues coming from the United States or from different countries, or from foreign governments, they come back again. The issue originated with Ukraine's first election, implying it arose against him during the initial elections or term. At the same time, they say that his behavior during the election campaign was illegal and he corrupted certain financial transactions, holding them against him in this issue, and they say that this behavior may be a reason for his removal, and at the same time also presenting the issue that he ordered me to cancel citizenship for people who were born in America. And this is against the Constitution. And this is also what Trump did, that he filed a request to stop giving citizenship. People born in America, who? Of course, some judges, about 7 and 80 in a number of states, rejected this issue. And therefore it is illegal and unconstitutional. And also they say that he illegally fired inspectors general and members of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and also members of the National Labor Relations Board and states, all of whom were considered Democrats' enemies. Trump's enemies during the election campaign say he is using power to take revenge on his opponents. Sabukin. They also stated in the petition that he pardoned the people who stormed the Capitol, and of course the pardons have actually been implemented, and the number is a large number, more than 1,000. They were pardoned because he received the ruling and granted them a presidential pardon, even though the case is fixed against them and they objected to the police and used weapons, and there are people who died, so he used his authority to pardon them with a presidential pardon without any kind of evidence that acquits them of the crime that they committed. Now they did it. All of this made them make this petition, and even in this petition he called His Highness King Trump, who means he does not act like a democratic country. He acts as if he were the owner, all matters have no respect for the Constitution, the law, or anything else. The campaign that is for this insulator did not comment on the abnormal statements about the countries of the world, nor did it comment, for example, on the issue of purchasing, or the issue of annexing Canada, or the issue of possession of the Panama Canal, or the issue of customs or taxes that he wants to impose or has already imposed on Mexico, Canada, and China. They did not talk about the issue of displacing the Palestinians or seeking to displace Palestine from Gaza. They did not talk about the money that he wants to impose on Japan and Germany to remain the Palestinians. The American armies are there in Germany and Japan, and they have billions of dollars. They did not talk about a topic. They asked NATO that it would pay 5% of the domestic product, and this is a large number for that. For NATO countries to contribute to NATO, many things have been done, meaning provocative relations for very large sectors of the peoples of the world and countries of the world, and all of this may affect America's image. With all of this, most of the time, the campaign will not achieve anything. I mean, most of the time, they will not be able to impeach Trump. Why? Because the Republican Party. So in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, in both cases a majority, so in order for them to be able to impeach Trump, it is necessary about 15 to 21 of the Republican Party to vote against Trump, and this is impossible because the entire Republican Party is standing behind Trump, and therefore the campaign will not reach anything. But is she doing any preliminary media presentation, preliminary to what? In preparation for the 2026 elections, 26 are doing a midterm renewal of Congress. This midterm renewal, if the Democrats succeed in it with a high percentage and become a majority with a percentage that allows them to impeach Trump, they will repeat it again. This is the second thing, and vote on it again in Congress. At that time, they can impeach Trump if Congress had the greater majority than the Democrats. This measure, our brothers, if it indicates anything, it indicates two major things. The first thing is that what we outside America feel in monitoring events in terms of an anomaly in Trump's decisions and a provocation to the world is also felt by the people of America, and that there are many people in it. There is no president who gives a good image of America or a good image of the country. And all of this could be a prelude to a future need. And we are not used to seeing such a picture with the previous presidents, the ones who preceded him, preceded others, whether it was Obama, Clinton, Bush, or other of the previous presidents. None of them was in this picture who witnessed this objection from the American people. The second very important need is that it indicates the deep, sharp division that exists in the American people, that exists in the country. American division exists between the Republican Party and the Democrats, making it seem as if they were adversaries or states. Wa suman osi. And you see in the story that the Democrats are trying to accuse Trump, not because the evidence is strong. Everything they said is, by the way, easy to respond to in court. There is no evidence. It is very embarrassing for Trump, but it may be against the law, against the Constitution in one way or another. I mean, they are happy about the issue because the second is a Republican, and they are Democrats, and at the same time the Republicans are defending him, not based on the fact that the right is with him or justice is with him, and based on the fact that they are Republicans and they do not want their man. He is removed from the judgment, therefore. The impeachment case will not succeed even if the evidence for it is strong, whether in the case of Ukraine, the case of obstructing Congress, or the case of the United States. The Muhammad, hostility to former opponents, or the issue of abuse of power, or any of the issues, they succeed because he is with them from the grave. From the Republicans, the truth of all these needs means that the standards of justice and truth are not clear. Mahash, there is no evidence in judging things, but it is salvation, meaning hidden, meaning from there. About the eyes, about the minds and the air, it has become what people control, and the second need is the great rift in the nation. It seemed to be clear and has other aspects. We can continue to talk about it in second episodes, and this is in fact a harbinger of the collapse of any civilization. And by God knows best what the future will hold, but all of these dates are mentioned in the Holy Quran in a purified year, that if nations are characterized by these qualities, they will fall down. We ask God Almighty to honor Islam and Muslims. May God reward you well, and may God's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you.